Okay, social media in China can be summarized in 3 letters, B-A-T. And I'm not talking about the British American Tobacco Company, no, but I'm talking about Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. Those are the 3 big companies owning essentially all of the social media out there. Now there is a 4th company called ByteDance, but they essentially just own a new site. I'm gonna try to keep this as short as possible, and then further on I will do other videos where I will deep dive into specific platforms that are available. So let's do this. Baidu is the Chinese equivalent of Google. They have a lot of search, news, Q&A. Alibaba, on the other hand, they're more of an Amazon kind of company. They focus a lot on merchandising, sourcing of great products, and they have their Alibaba platform and AliExpress as their main, ways in which you can buy stuff. They also have an equivalent of Apple Pay, and that's called Alipay, and that is sort of a competitor and a way in which you can do easy purchases in China. Then we have Tencent. And Tencent is a company which owns WeChat, which is the biggest sort of individual platform in China. It's a mobile app that's for messaging and a lot of other things like payments, researching products, talking to friends, engaging with companies, getting offers. It's sort of like a wallet in a sense, but it's also social. And it has a lot of scoring points in there, and it has just a lot of things. And I will have an own video covering WeChat alone, so let's just keep that to it. But Baidu, search and more like a Google company. Alibaba is more like an Amazon merchandising e-commerce company. And then we have Tencent, which is the social company in itself. Okay, some stats. WeChat currently has 988 million users out of the 1.4 billion people who live in China. So it covers essentially everyone who is connected to the internet. Alipay, latest figures from 2018, have about 604 million users. QQ has 590 million users just about, and the other ones have, lesser users than that. But the important thing here is to understand that because these platforms have so many users and they are running all of these A/B tests all the time, they get answers about user behavior and consumer behaviors really, really fast. And since they are working with these platforms not only through a browser, but also through the mobile phone, in stores, through their beacons, through all of those things, they get so much data on how people actually move around because of what is happening online that they know a lot more. And because they are centralized to only 3 companies, they know a lot more about what's happening and what's going on in their population than we do. And so that is really important to keep in mind when you are competing against one of those companies on your local market, or when you're trying to enter China, is that you can both get to know a lot more data about your consumers, but you should also be aware that when these companies move into your own market, you don't stand a chance if you don't care as much as they do about their customers. Blah, 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 blah. Out of those users, about 800 million are from China. And that's about 57% of the total population. The most used social media types are instant messaging, news apps, and search. About 93% use the social media for communication, about 80% use it for search engine or searching for products, about 69% use it for e-commerce, 83% for news, and about 75% for video. There are some other categories, as you can see here. There are essentially 6 types of marketing that you can do as an enterprise. First of all, we have WeChat, which stands alone. You use it in the store, you use it essentially in your taxi, you use it essentially everywhere. It's like a mix between Facebook and all the other things that we've been used to using in separate things. It's just the main platform. If you as a brand wants to interact on WeChat, there are plenty of ways to do so. You can do straight up advertising where you buy sort of the same way as you could buy a Facebook ad. There are ways in which you can create your own branded pages, you can communicate with your fans, you can send direct messages, you can create separate groups, you can connect those to specific stores around a town or around like a big city, and there are plenty of ways you can do this. You can also connect it to beacons that sit around in a city, so you can send direct messages when someone passed by a specific store point or something like that. So it's a great way in which you can sort of follow and interact with the people who are the most engaged in your brand. Weibo is the equivalence of Twitter. It's actually sort of a mashup between Twitter and Reddit in a sense, where they have some kind of sourced start pages where popular communication are surfaced, but it's essentially a Twitter. And it's the platform for influencers, where they sort of push their content and get a lot of retweets, and you get a lot of reach if you work through Weibo. So a good strategy is to sort of work with your fans on WeChat, work with your community, work with your most loyal customers, and then in order to get the reach, you can work with Weibo. The third type of social media, if you want to rank in Baidu, for example, you need to be available with your own website that has the right content on it, and then you need to work through their different systems. They essentially have the same kind of things that Google offer you in terms of analytics and advertising and rankings and image search and video. And so it's really up to you what you want to do with it. So if you don't have your own website, then you will, lose all that beautiful Baidu traffic. And because people are searching for the brands they like and for the categories they like, and if you don't rank there, then what's the point? It's the same with Google. A lot of brands have misinterpreted that, and they don't care about their search engine optimization. But in China, as anywhere else, it's super important that you keep that in check. Then one category which is really big in China is the Q&A websites. This is a place where you can meet your users, and sort of like Google Answers and Quora and those types of platforms would be the sort of Western equivalent of that. And it's a great place for you to interact with KOLs in your niches when you're not working with consumer products. So if you're, for example, a medicine company and you want to interact with doctors, or you do B2B products, it's a great way in order to ask those questions that will raise the attention of the experts that you want to reach out to. And there is another benefit, and that is that they rank very well in search. So when someone is asking those questions to the search engine, you are very likely to end up, especially if you're operating on the Baidu service. Then we have the video platforms, Douyin, Youku, Tencent Video, Bilibili. There are a lot of different video platforms out there that you can use. The easiest way, because there are many of them, is to select maybe one or two of them to work with, because they have a bit different formats in them. And so they offer the same kind of pre-roll advertising, in-stream advertising, they have the banners and things like that. And so once you get going and you have some kind of video content, then you should be working with these channels and put yourself next to or in line with the kind of content that is relevant to the kind of customers that you want to reach. You can be a content creator just as you can on YouTube on these platforms. What you also can do is to do really good trend watching and sort of harvest what's coming, what's next on these platforms. You use Weibo and you can use, let's say, Tencent Video in order to do that. For research, market research, if you want to understand how the Chinese market works, those are really great places. Then you have your audio platforms, and just like Spotify here or Last FM, you have Himalaya FM, Lisi FM, and Qi FM. And I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but those are the biggest one with regards to audio. A little bit a mixture between SoundCloud and Spotify is what's on offer here. And I really suggest that, straight up ads, if you do not have some kind of, podcast or soundbite that might be interesting to the end user. I think those are probably the most difficult ones to get into unless you are a native speaker. All right, so that was my quick video about social in China. I will keep you posted with more of these videos about the specific platforms, and I think WeChat will be the first one out and show you a little bit more about how the actual platform works. And so until then, download WeChat and play around with it. It is a limited version that you get in Europe and in the US, but hey, just play around with it for a while just to notice the differences between what you have today in Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and what's available in WeChat. So go do that meanwhile. Bye.